Human rights lawyer Dele Farotimi was, of course, remanded in prison yesterday by Chief Magistrate's Court in Ado Ekiti, Ekiti State. This is over allegations of defaming Chief Afe Babalola, a senior advocate of Nigeria and founder of Afe Babalola University. Recall that Farotimi was arrested at his office in Lagos on Tuesday and taken to Ado Ekiti. Prior to his quote-unquote abduction, he held a press briefing where the outspoken government critic spoke on the court injunctions that would eventually lead to his arrest. Let's take a look. Right here is the video that was filmed at the moment, the CCTV footage at the moment where he was arrested at his law firm in Lagos. We'll bring you the clip of Dele Farotimi speaking about this, but let's tell you that Afe Babalola had submitted a petition claiming that Farotimi's book, Nigeria and its Criminal Justice System, accuses Babalola of influencing the Supreme Court to secure a fraudulent judgment.
Farotimi has pleaded not guilty to the 16 charges brought against him by the police. The Chief Magistrate, Abayomi Adeosun, directed that Farotimi be held at the Ado Ekiti Correctional Center while a formal bail application is submitted. The court is expected to consider the application on the 10th of December. Joining us this morning is human rights lawyer Inibehe Effiong. Good morning. Thanks for joining us.
Good morning. Thank you for having me.
All right. Let's have you clarify some of the confusion surrounding this arrest of Dele Farotimi and the connection with Ekiti State. I think it's a fair place to start from. Many people have said that Ekiti State Police has no business in Lagos. Dele Farotimi, of course, argued pretty much the same thing, that whatever it is he's accused of happened here in Lagos. So, what is the connection with Ekiti, and did you see anything wrong with him being taken from Lagos to Ekiti State, where he's now being held?
Thank you. By law, there are circumstances under which a person may be taken from one state to another for purpose of criminal prosecution. For example, where interstate offenses are committed, or where a crime is committed in the course of a journey in transit, where someone moves from one state to the other to commit an offense. In that kind of circumstance, that person or the suspect may be traced to a particular location and be moved to the actual state where the offense may have been committed or may have been partly committed. But why this is been worrying for us is that in the Dele Farotimi's case, it does appear that there is a strategy to basically try him in a jurisdiction where the chances of him getting justice is not very high. And I say that with all sense of responsibility. We will only be pretending and be engaging in self-deceit to say that the eminent senior advocate of Nigeria, Chief Afe Babalola, does not have control over Ekiti State. This is an elder statesman that successive governors of the state have basically been not knowing. They basically bow before him. You may have recalled his altercation with former Governor Fayemi, and after that, other governors who have also governed Ekiti State in recent years have basically had to pay obeisance to the very highly placed Chief Afe Babalola. So we are not just dealing with an elder from Ekiti State. We are dealing with a man who more or less is richer than Ekiti State. A man who is possibly the most senior lawyer in Nigeria today, and possibly the most senior advocate of Nigeria today. So that is the caliber of person that we are dealing with. So when you want to pretend that trying him in his own state, right, does not have any implication for the defendant, I think that is just being pretentious. But let's even look at the legality of the matter. Now, they are claiming, because I have seen the draft of the petition that Chief Afe Babalola personally submitted to the police. Now, he is claiming that some persons, his partner, bought lawyers in his law firm bought the book published by Dele Farotimi entitled Nigeria and its Criminal Justice System, and they drew his attention to it, and so on and so forth. He is based in Ekiti State, so on that basis, he wrote a petition to the Commissioner of Police of Ekiti. Now, under the Administration of Criminal Justice Act of 2015, you cannot arrest a person in one state and move that person to another state without taking that person first to a magistrate in the state of arrest. That is the state where the arrest is to be effected. In this instance, when the police came into Lagos from Ekiti, they ought to have complied with both administrative procedure and legal procedure. Administratively, under the police regulation, when police is moving from one state to another to effect an arrest, when they succeed in arresting that, before they even go to arrest the person, they are supposed to go to the police in the command in the state where the arrest is effected to incident the matter, to basically file a report that we have come into your state in order to effect arrest of so and so person. From what we have now known, both the Lagos State Command and even the Zone 2 in Lagos were not carried along. They were blind, sidestepping the entire process. That is on the administrative side. But the most worrying is the judicial procedure, which is that under the law, as they came into Ekiti and arrested him, that is assuming that they even had an arrest warrant, they should have taken him, before they can execute that warrant by law, they should have taken him before a magistrate in Lagos, because this matter in Ekiti is being prosecuted at the magistrate court. It would have been different if it was a warrant issued by a federal high court, or if he was arrested on the order of the federal high court, in which case it will have national application. But because this is a matter issued by an inferior court of record in Ekiti, the law demands that they should have taken him before another magistrate in Lagos to examine the warrant, examine the basis for the arrest, and even see whether it should be taken or not. This was not done. They just simply went to his place, arrested him, and then drove him for several hours all the way to Ekiti. And then they arraigned him yesterday. Guess what? When they arraigned him, the magistrate declined to admit him to bail after an oral bail application was made, and insisted that a formal bail application should be brought. That is that the application should be made in writing, which for me, like I said in a statement on X yesterday, it has only aggravated the fears, the apprehension, the anxiety of Nigerians who are justifiably concerned whether Mr. Farotimi can get justice in Ekiti. Because why do you need a formal bail application in a magistrate court in the first place? And why do you even need a formal bail application in an offense of defamation? It's not charged for housebreaking. It's not charged for any serious offense that carries a serious penalty in law. It's charged for defamation. So why do you need a formal bail application? And then you are adjourning the matter for about 1 week. That for me, makes some of us wonder whether this is really a legitimate criminal process or just a sham that has been orchestrated to break the spirits, and silence the voice of Mr. Dele Farotimi. But guess what? If a man is making allegations against the judiciary and is being tried by the same judiciary, common sense enjoins, common sense presupposes that the judiciary should ensure that this person is accorded all the protections under the law, that any appearance of impropriety, any appearance of persecution is avoided. But from the arrest to the arraignment and the way the matter is going so far, it looks like there is now a deliberate attempt to vindicate Dele Farotimi, at least to speak to the point that the Nigerian judiciary, the justice system in our country, the entire criminal justice system itself is one that is susceptible to abuse, is one that can be weaponized. And I have made the point that if Chief Afe Babalola really felt that this man has defamed him, what's stopping him from going to court to file a civil suit? Why should the machinery of the state be deployed to protect the reputation of a private citizen.
All right, Inibehe, I'd like to interject at this point, and you've mentioned a number of wrongs, and hopefully we'll have enough time to talk about what the remedies are. But you said that if Chief Afe Babalola, SAN, feels like a wrong has been committed, he should file a civil suit. And that's another issue of contention here, that those would argue that defamation can be criminal and civil. But then the argument against that would be that it probably was criminal in southern Nigeria before up until the Criminal Law of Lagos 2011. But we'd like to get your thoughts, looking at the subject matter, which is this book that was published, talking about Nigeria's justice system. And he allegedly, defamed Chief Afe Babalola, SAN. Is this a criminal action? Is this a civil action?
Well, there's what we call in literature, poetic license. I did literature in school, and I know that authors have the right to express their views the way they deem fit. That does not mean that they are clothed with immunity to just write anything they want. But I would have thought that this should be a civil matter. They're not just saying that, oh, you posted something on the internet or wrote an article in the newspaper. This is a book that is published, an authored book, right? Where he had given an account of his experience in a matter that he did involving Chief Afe Babalola and a couple of other lawyers at the Supreme Court. So if the chief is convinced that what is published there is false, he could have just simplified. This could have been handled with a civil suit. I have always maintained a principled position against deploying state apparatus, for the purpose of making a case of libel or a case of defamation, rather. I have never supported that. So if he's saying that what is published in this book is false, he should have filed a civil suit. This will be better tackled in a civil court. It's not a matter that you go and throw him inside the correctional center, the considered center in Ekiti, just to demonstrate that you have connections with the higher marks. How many Nigerians have been their thousands? I have been defamed so many times, both on social media and outside social media. So are you saying that every time someone makes an allegation against me that is false, I should go and use the police to arrest the person? I just see it as a misplacement of priority. And for a man of that age, someone that is well over 80 years, I don't think he should be trying to build his legacy, right? I don't think that, this chapter of his life should be, about this kind of case. For a man that owns one of the best private universities in the country, for a man that had a center, I think in Oxford University, after him, for human rights, I don't think this should be his preoccupation. So I quarrel with the substance of the case. I quarrel more particularly with the procedure that is being deployed. Because what are they talking about? the Inibehe Effiong that is talking to you, I am also a victim of the Nigerian justice system. So the day I will write my own book, who knows whether it's Nigerian armed forces that will be used to arrest? Because one day I will tell my story. And when I will tell my story in a book form, I'm not going to sugarcoat it. I will be as blunt as I can. The person that is talking to you, I am talking to you as a witness to the fact that the Nigerian justice system is very far from perfection, that the Nigerian justice system can be weaponized. That is not to say that all the judges and all the justices in Nigeria are corrupt, or that everybody sitting on the bench is compromised. That is not the point. I'm just speaking to the limited personal experience that I've had. On the basis of falsehood, on the basis of persecution. So if I now wake up tomorrow and choose to put my experience into a book, some people will feel that I've defamed them. So the response will be to go to the police to arrest me. Yeah. I'm just narrating to you that so many of us have experiences with the justice system that if we want to write about it, a lot of people will be offended. And I'm saying that should not be the business of the police. Yeah. I'm not speaking to the merit of the book itself, the substance, whether it's true or not. The matter has been taken before a court. So, Chief, and let me also tell you, Chief Afe Babalola is also on trial, because when you are alleging defamation, you are basically putting your reputation to test. Yeah. You're putting your reputation to test.
I want you to, I don't know if we can. Yeah, I'm not sure if we have the clip, of interview that Dele Farotimi, gave just before his arrest, where he spoke about how the criminal justice system is, seemingly flawed. I think we played maybe the first, 10, 15 seconds, the part where he's talking about a case, a petition being made secretly in a court somewhere, and then, of course, the suspect is not aware, that he has a case to answer until, there's now a warrant given for his arrest. So I think we can quickly play that and have Mr. Effiong respond to that.
It came to my knowledge that there is a charge that had been fraudulently preferred against me before a court in Ekiti State at the instance of Chief Afe Babalola. This charge had been fraudulently preferred, hidden from view, and the court had purportedly demanded my presence multiple times, and I had failed to appear before this court. And this court had then proceeded to issue a bench warrant for my arrest. This is classic Afe Babalola. I detailed his corruptive influence in my book, Nigeria and its Criminal Justice System. And what he has done is exactly what he has always done in hiding, but he has done it this time again. And the calculations were that I would have been picked up, taken before this judge who must have either been compromised or misled in Ekiti. And I would have been remanded in prison custody for being somebody who was meant to face trial and who had refused to bring himself to court.
Yeah. I think, that's the part that I wanted to highlight. So, Inibehe Effiong, is that something that you're familiar with? And, how weighty, is that statement by Dele Farotimi?
Well, you know that I have a close relationship with Dele Farotimi. We in the human rights community or in the activist space in quotes, we fraternize among ourselves. So I know him, and prior to the arrest, I was privy to some of the things you just listened to in the clip. He had carried me along. He had briefed me from when they started about these plans to have him arrested. And it is looking like some of the things he said is now, is now manifesting. And people are now asking whether, truly things can be that bad. But my concern is that for a person who is not in custody, if you want to try that person, the law demands that you are supposed to serve a summons on that person. For a defendant who is not in custody, for the purpose of compelling the attendance of that person in court, or the appearance of that person before the magistrate or a judge, they should have served him with a summons or a notice of trial and a copy of whatever charge they wanted to file against. So they just hurriedly went and, filed this 16-count charge of defamation against him. No opportunity for him to even review the charge, to see whether they are objectionable on the face of it or not, to see whether the court is bereft of jurisdiction to entertain the charge or not. He was not afforded the adequate time and facility to prepare for his defense. Because that right inures, the constitutional right under Section 36, that inures from the moment a person is brought before a court. Or in fact, even before a person is brought before a court, he should have notice of his arraignment. Dele Farotimi wasn't afforded that opportunity. So all this was orchestrated, by a very, compromised police institution to achieve a predetermined objective. And that is why I asked a rhetorical question last night on X. Is Dele Farotimi going to get justice in Ekiti State? Or are we dealing with a fate? Are we going to be, thrown into a fait accompli? Has his fate been sealed already? Are we just waiting for the inevitable to happen? Will he get a fair trial? Will he have an opportunity to have his day in court? Because the signs I'm seeing already are very troubling. And I have highlighted to you that I do not understand why the magistrate had to adjourn for 1 week in order for a written application for bail to be filed. Whereas before that same magistrate, every day, 20 people are brought before him, even for more serious offenses, he's admitting them to bail upon oral application. Why is the distinction made for Dele Farotimi, a senior lawyer of the standing, a member of the legal profession, an officer of that court, a minister in the Temple of Justice? Why was his own case treated in that manner. So I question the manner that he's being treated, and I do not believe that this is a legitimate, criminal process that has been initiated against him.
Jump in at this point, Inibehe. If I may jump in at this point, Inibehe, I think we can agree that several wrongs have been established. Now, in this case, both parties are lawyers. The Learned SAN and Dele Farotimi here are lawyers. The NBA has taken a stance. They've said that libel is not a criminal offense. Libel is not a crime. So talk to us about what remedies would, what the remedies would be in this situation for Dele Farotimi and for the Learned SAN in this case. Also, are there actions that should be taken? Since there are wrongs that have been done, are there certain actions that need to be taken, for both parties?
I think they're underestimating the forces behind it. and I laugh because it also looks as if they're underestimating the spirit of the man called Dele Farotimi. I'm not sure they understand how deeply ideological the Dele Farotimi is. If you look at even the hairstyle he used to keep, the afro, the kind of hairstyle, that was an act of rebellion, an act of protest. Here is a man who on his own abandoned active legal practice in protest because he said he could no longer stand what was happening. So this is not somebody that you can just play with and feel that he can be intimidated. So I believe that some actions will be taken to protect what has happened and to also ensure this matter is not going to die off. So if they think, oh, let them talk, after 24 hours they will get tired, they are going to be shocked, because I can assure you that within the human rights community, all the forces have been mobilized. People are not going to let this go because this is one voice that our country needs. We will not wait and see that voice being silenced. We have learned from experiences of others, and we're not going to also allow harm to come to him. So anybody who is trying to orchestrate any attack on the person of Dele Farotimi should know that we are watching. The eyes of the nation are upon the Ekiti State Judiciary. The whole world is watching to see the outcome of this process. And they must be mindful that if a man is accusing the judiciary of wrongdoing and is brought before the same judiciary, as I said, common sense detects that it should be treated in the best possible way. It should be given all rights, accorded all rights and privileges to which is entitled to under the law. Chief Afe Babalola has used the police to file this charge. It will be an opportunity for quite a lot of things to come to light. So let nobody be mistaken that Dele Farotimi's spirit will be broken. I know him to be a deeply ideological man, a deeply
Right. Inibehe Effiong, we might be struggling with the connection there, but I believe it's also a good place to end the conversation this morning. We, of course, had those important parts that we needed to highlight. Thank you very much for your time this morning. We'll follow up and see where this story goes, and of course, we'd love to have you join us again as soon as possible. Thanks once again for your time.
Thank you, Inibehe.